Hey viewers, Retro Junkie here, just going over a quick playthrough and kind of an archive segment that I'm trying to do for any classic video games, especially video games that I grew up with. I'll probably be starting off with those, but I'm going to go over video games that I haven't gone and played through as well. And purpose for this is just kind of bring some general knowledge or some education on some of these old classics that, again, are things that I grew up with back in the past, but, you know, just so that newer generations, younger generations, or even people that have gone through and played video games but never really got into different genres just know the history, the heritage, where it came from and where it began. And this isn't going back to the beginnings, but I'm starting off with some of the games I grew up with from my youth and then work my way back, because I'll admit I'm not a thesaurus, or I'm not an encyclopedia of everything that is retro or classic. There are definitely tons of games I haven't played, tons of genres, but that is part of the purpose of this segment, to go through and kind of do some research and learn and find out, okay, this is how this game got its idea from, or this concept. Because, I mean, as video games get newer, and as they come out with new titles, things change, but there's always references back, or there's always some sort of reincarnation of old titles that are reinstilled in new. And I'll actually go over one of those in one of my later videos that I'm working on and doing some research and some documenting on. But in any case, so continuing with this one, this is Airbuster. This is a game that came out for the Sega Genesis in '91. And when it came out, it didn't get like raving reviews like this is the best game ever, oh my god, but it did get a lot of accolades for it being aesthetically pleasing to the eye. A lot of nice vibrant colors, a lot of great animations, great soundtrack and great sound effects went into this title as well. This was actually an import from a title called Aero Blasters, which was for the TurboGrafx FX and for the PC. So, but that's neither here nor there. In any case, we're going over the Genesis version of the title and some of the gameplay aspects. As you can see from some of the demo of the videos, it's your traditional side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. Your mobility is limited, so that's the challenging part of the concept. And then you have all these mobs, monsters, bots, whatever you want to call them, NPCs that are appearing and disappearing on the screen. You shoot them down for score, and they're shooting at you. So with your limited mobility, you have to move around and dodge, and sometimes it can be cumbersome and difficult. But again, that's part of the allure for the genre as a whole. There are definitely this type of genre has evolved a lot. For those of you that were born in the mid to late 90s, you might remember growing up with a Dreamcast, in which case Ikaruga was one of these titles, which is one of my favorite shooters out there, as well as Sainmora for the PS Vita. For those of you that got it through PlayStation Plus, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago when it was available. But in any case, so I'm going to go ahead and get started down to playing and just kind of give some feedback, as well as provide a quick overview of what the game's about. There's a storyline to it for sure. Like old games back then, unless it was an RPG, it didn't explain storyline very well during gameplay. So you kind of had to go through the instruction manual and kind of read the storyline that was included with it, or you had to go through and you had to read the storyline in the online, or call them. I don't even see what happened there. Or not call, but you had to go through and you kind of just had to piece your own storyline together, which they did actually sometimes for some titles back then. They didn't explain anything in the instruction manual. They just gave you a game and said, here you go, here's what we think the story is about, but we're not going to tell you what we thought. We want you to imagine the true hero. So the possibilities were definitely more endless with those kind of storytelling back in the day. Oh, I missed that bullet there. Definitely a little harder to pay attention with this though. One of the things I do enjoy a lot and appreciate a lot about games that are developed in the way that this is that they're not overloading the Genesis engine. And when I say that, I mean I've played some side-scrolling shoot 'em ups that frustrate me in the aspect that they try too hard. They create some great animations or some great graphics, or they're really pushing the engine to the limits in a way that's great, that's fantastic, that's how we progress. But at the same time, it creates a lot of screen lag, which can make things more difficult, because back then there wasn't frame skipping or anything. It was just, or there was, but it was limited. It was more of, okay, hey, this is, we're just gonna continue to process this as we need to, first come, first serve basis. There wasn't very enhanced algorithms back then to handle it, and it was just, hey, get this processed, get this data out. And it caused for a very unenjoyable gameplay experience at times. It didn't bother some people, it bothered me. And apparently I can't multitask. I can't talk and play this game at the same time. But I'm gonna have to learn how. I'm not doing too good of a job of learning how. But so far, I mean, one of the things that also stand away from this game, or that I take away, is the sound effects. I mean, there's detail to it. When I hit the ship, it makes the sound like I'm hitting something, and for a game that was made in the 90s, I mean, programming wasn't as difficult back then as it is now. There's not as many things that go into it, but it's still something to be appreciated. It's still things that have to be programmed, and all these things have to be developed on a computer. All the sound effects, and there's definitely a level of appreciation that I have for that. Again, the graphics, the colors are great. There's very smooth animations. They put a lot of detail, at least as much as they could, into a 16-bit console and system. And it's just, again, I mean, I could talk in circles about this stuff. Definitely you could tell that from this little screen here that this game came from Japan. I mean, that's very anime in nature, or manga, whichever you prefer to call it. I know they're two different things, but the art style, more than anything. I could have sworn I got that, but okay. And each stage has its own theme, its own background. They don't really reuse a lot of things. Different sound effects and different soundtrack. So they actually had to put together a soundtrack for this game. And I know, again, for the Genesis and for things of that era, it's nothing new and it's nothing to write home about, but it's little details that I appreciate about the past and how games used to be made, how it was done. What's homie doing right behind me? I don't remember that ever happening. Okay, he finally got out from behind me, which makes me feel a lot more comfortable. I feel like I'll need this for this spot. So this is going to be one of those instances where you kind of get yourself into a bullet hell. At least that's what it was for the Genesis back then. Definitely not anything compared to what bullet hell is compared now. But again, we have better engines, better consoles, better graphics, better processing, better AI, and better programming. So it's definitely a lot more involved. But back then, this was difficult. I remember dying a lot on this part when I was a kid. And like any shooter, or like a lot of games, but I believe this is especially true for shooters, is that the bumpers help for this part, by the way, because then I could just be lazy and just let it move me around until the split. But in any case, what was the point I was making? Oh yes, that's right. With the shooters, it's all about remembering where everything was and kind of what parts of the game you were stuck on and where things appear, where things spawn, just so that you develop almost a muscle memory to where you need to move and to where you need to dodge and where you need to avoid this and avoid that. And just kind of go through and the more you die, the more you progress, the easier it becomes. Ah, game over. So in any case, I mean, that's a quick overview on Airbusters. I'm not trying to make these long, and I'm not trying to bore with details, because from the research I do, I mean, I like to be thorough, but at the same time, I don't want to come off talking too much or being too encyclopedic. But this is the first video of this segment, so if you like it, please give me a like, thumb up it, share, subscribe. I'm going to try to get these out at least once a week. And if you have any recommendations, or if you want me to go back and go in more detail, or if there's certain titles that you want me to cover that you want to get my feedback or my interpretation on, please shoot me a message or leave a comment. Other than that, thanks for watching, guys. Again, please like, comment, share. All those things would help me out quite a bit. And until next time.